Hey,
Yo,
happy
yo, yo.
Thursday, brother. What's going on? Welcome to the
Hey,
Rose Garden.
hey.
How are you?
Yes, sister. I'm all right. I'm good. I can't complain. You know what? Honestly, I woke up this morning and, once again, all of my faculties are intact. I'm healthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm at peace. I was like, man, when I went to bed last night,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I got some things I have to do, and they were in repeat in my mind over and over and over and over again while I was sleeping through the night. So I felt like I woke up several times,
Mm-hmm.
but I had this strange feeling when I woke up this morning, like I've been asleep for like 20 years. You know what I mean? It's like I haven't been in contact with people who I just talked to yesterday. Felt like I hadn't talked to them in like a year. It was surreal. It's kind of strange. It's like I literally let go of the day yesterday and feel like I'm totally reborn into the new day. So it's kind
Okay.
of crazy. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I don't know that I can share that experience with you, but maybe others have. Welcome, others, if you're joining us live. This is I am Sarita, and I'm joined by my exceptionally gifted brother Exadian, and we come into the Rose Garden every Thursday for our own personal bit of therapy. And boy, do we need therapy! We're going on week number 2 with folks who are furloughed and not getting paid, and it's like an actual thing happening in my house since my husband is furloughed. And it's funny because I live in the world with people. I guess you do too. And I'm listening to like their tenor about what's going on. And I'm hearing all these people say what they would do if it were them, right? Like, if it were me, I would call out and blah blah blah, blah, do all this stuff. And I thought to myself, everybody can fantasize about how they're going to behave until something actually happens to you, right? Then you have to, then the difference with that is you're faced with like real life consequences and not the fantasy of the story. But since we're all living in a fantasy, I'll tell you what my fantasy would be. Like, we would all like all I would free the slaves who are now working right now for free, because that's what they are.
Right.
I'd
Right.
go and open up the latches of their of their minds, bodies, and the hostage, the situation that set it up, and make sure that they get to be freed. And then we would go like Robin Hood and take the money from all the congressmen and stuff who are working and getting paid and not doing their damn jobs and not doing anything, to include the president and all his staffers, so that they can actually feel what it's like to not get a paycheck and have to ask yourself some serious questions about what is going to happen. And no matter what, you know when all of this is over, air quotes, there's a big cost for a lot of people. So I am not just praying, but in my mind fantasizing about being very hostile to all these people who, um, as all the other people who are fantasizing about what they would do if they were in this position, and acting as if they have some kind of bold narrative or bold actions. You know what I'm really kind of figuring out right now about Americans is that we actually aren't bold at all. Like, I see other countries, and they are like so bold. They are like, they will, like France, for example. A few years ago I went to France and I didn't realize how much they strike. Okay. Like, you piss them off, they are shutting down a railroad. And so we or the plane.
Americans are bold like that though, too. I think
I'm
Americans are bold.
I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen, I haven't seen the entire uh the US population say what is happening, because like anyone right now, like, you don't have to be, in this polarized political climate, you don't have to be impacted by something to feel it, right? So to see that 750,000 people are working now without checks, or are not getting paid, even though they have competed for a job, been qualified for that job, perhaps worked in that job for over 2 decades, are now being asked to perform a function with no pay, just because someone has decided that they're going to hold that pocket of money hostage, as if the American people are not valued. So, what I will say is, I haven't seen America do that in recent years, where they've all come
Right.
together and jumped.
That's
Now,
that's that's a good qualification for it in recent
in
years. And maybe
recent
not in our time because it's definitely it's been some,
It's
in
been
American
some,
history for sure.
right,
But
but
to
not
the point of
recent
what
years.
yeah, not
Not
recently, but to the point of what you're saying though, I think that it's odd to me that the politics, like you said, like the executive office of the president and the cabinet and Congress and all of them, they shouldn't be paid either because if the government doesn't have a budget,
they
they
should have
also should
but
be affected
but
as
do
well.
you
Yeah,
see do you see the dissonance that's occurring? The
yeah, I do,
there's
I do.
something's happened on your side, buddy. Your
Why?
your
What it do?
your memory,
I saw my screen flash and then it came up.
yeah,
It says,
says your
"How was
memory,
the studio session?
huh?
Are we still recorded or is it done?"
No, I'm still live, but you people just bear with us. My brother is having difficulties. It says you had some difficulties. So do you want to jump
But
in?
I still look like I'm doing something. So I'm gonna just keep it flowing.
No, because geez, that messed it up. Let's see.
Because if it's still recording, then I'm still in here.
You still in here? All right. It
Yeah,
says
I'm still in here. So,
all right.
I'm gonna keep it going.
Well, maybe somebody can chat with us and see if they can actually still see you. I still see you, but I don't know if they can still see you. But so
Yeah, I saw that blip though.
you saw it, it said
Hmm.
and for me it said it stopped recording, but maybe it didn't. So
Hmm.
like I've been, it's been an interesting week because also I've been on travel, which I
Hmm.
hate. I
Hmm.
love very much love my bed. And I think that people have underestimate the value of a really good bed and a really good mattress. But I have one of them, and it's like I long for it. And I was not in it for like 5 days, 4 days. It was way too long. It was way too long. And so I was so happy when I got in my own bed last night. But I reflected on a lot of things because when you're amongst people, two things happen to me. I don't know if this happens to you. I am exhausted with when I'm on like travel and around people all day. Like I know I am around people and I do this as a job to be with people, but like being like at a conference with hundreds of people all day is just there's like an energy exchange that I can't explain. So I was at this conference, but I learned something about myself. I was like kind of sitting back at like this 50,000 foot view and seeing like, did I have like the social prowess that I thought I did? And there were some faux pas that I made that I wrote down. I couldn't wait to come to the Rose Garden and talk to you about because one of
Hmm.
them was like, so someone had a death in their family, right? And the natural kind of exchange and response was, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss." Right? So, but then almost like impulsively after they were like describing what they were going through, I said, "So, how's the funeral?" And I paid attention to the nonverbals like, I guess I wasn't supposed to put that there. But it just seemed like a natural kind of inquiry in my own mind to see like, well, how do they honor this very wonderful person that you talked about? That was the inner dialogue that was in my head. But from the nonverbal cue that I got with, because somebody was like, well, I've never had that question before. Like she kind of like batted it back to me like, no one's ever asked about the quality of the funeral. And I don't know that I
Hmm.
said the quality. I think I said like, well, how was the funeral? Like, what was the service like? Um, so it kind of cued for me like that was the wrong thing to do. Like, how did that play out in your ears?
Yeah, I mean, it could be perceived like being insensitive, but it could also be inquisitive. I mean, it just depends on how it was received on the other end, you know.
I don't think it was
And
received.
those things are tough anyway to begin with, because I feel like whenever people are going through like loss when they're grieving and all,
Mhm.
it's hard to get true comfort and relief from it, and nobody has the magic words to say to actually help a person through those feelings. I think like just people just being there and just honoring what the person needs at the time, like they need space or whatever it may be. But I don't it's that's always tough because
Yeah.
sometimes you say something and people don't, they get irritated by it, like uh It's supposed to be something nice, supposed to be, from the heart or whatever, and it just hurts them because it ain't what they want to hear.
Right.
You know,
Well, but it's
they ain't
happening a
benefiting.
lot to me lately because, and like this again is like my observation. These are all my faux pas. But like
Mm-hmm.
with the advent of these GLPs, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
people that I might not have seen for like many years, right? And we're
Mm-hmm.
middle-aged people, so we weren't all like thin by the time we were like 35, 40. Some of us got a bunch of kids. So now what's happened that I noticed is like, so I saw a colleague that I hadn't seen in several years, like maybe, I don't know, 7 years, something like that. But the last time I saw them, and I think this was be her real origin story, is that she was a fat kid. Okay.
Oh shit.
She was a fat
Okay.
kid, and she became a fat adult, but she kind of like wore it very well, right? Like she wore, like she was like, I always had like some heavier friends who I was like, if I had to be in that kind of group of heaviness, like they wear their heaviness big, right? Good, and she could dress good. So now, fast forward, our lives have kind of like gone on. I haven't seen this person in many years, and you come back and you are 120 pounds. The first thing someone is naturally going to say is, "Oh my God, you look so good. You lost so much weight," right? Like, am I wrong, or is that like not the thing that's going to happen?
No, I think definitely, that would happen because they
Right?
transform. That's a transformation.
It's a
That they
transfer.
transform themselves, they will definitely get that reaction for sure.
Right. But then all of a sudden you get the gas face, like you're not supposed to say that. Like,
Well, then you wonder then like how did they lose it or what happened? Like what was going on then? If
you
they have
know
that
how they
type of
lost it,
reaction.
brother. We've talked about this, okay? Like there's just no secret. Like it's happening all around us. Like, like they're not just taking like, and I'm saying, and you can, and why I say it is because there's an actual look. Okay. So like these medications, although they are very effective, it's taking like muscle tone, everything away. It's not,
Okay, I get
so
you.
like people that I know who like worked out, like our uh Nisa, our
Oh
big
yeah,
Felix
yeah.
daughter,
Mm,
she works out, and she wasn't ever a big girl, but she was a bigger girl, right? Like she had some, she was thicker. Now she's like, she's hard, she's rock hard, she works out. So her body has transformed in the way that it would look, she's got a lot of muscle tone, it's lean muscle, but it's good muscle, and she has very focused focal groups. Like she's got like even like the trap T, like like her neck is nice and slender, but then she's got that muscle that connects there.
mhm.
That looks very different than my colleague that I was telling you about, who like literally I've never seen her any other size. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden you see 120-pound Skeletor walking your way. You're like, oh, and it wasn't even the words that came out of my mouth weren't like, oh, you look so good, right? Because I don't know if that like look is a good look. I think it might be good for her or whatever she's doing, but she definitely looked different. And so like I find myself, because I
Hmm.
think COVID has kept me like home and I'm not like really interacting with her. I was like, oh my gosh, you lost so much weight. You know what I mean? And then it's like looked at like you're not supposed to say that. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to say? Like, you look different, like I feel like that's
Mhm.
the same thing. So I'm just like retraining myself. And then I'm like, it doesn't really sound that bad, because if you lose a lot of weight, right? And I think most people who are doing this is because they want to. Don't you want to be acknowledged, or should I be pretended? Like literally, if she had walked past me and wasn't standing in front of me, I wouldn't have recognized her. And it was this kind of locked in look too, where it was like, aren't you going to speak? When so my eyes kind of had to adjust to like, well, who am I speaking to? You know what I mean? Like, how, and
Yeah.
then it like cued in like, oh, that's you. Like, great to see you. Like, you look so different. You lost so much weight because you did. Like, it was like, but then I thought, like, okay, Sarita, like that fell out of your mouth. There was that impulsive moment, because I could tell from the way the look came after, like, that wasn't what either she appreciated, what she was expecting. But I'm like, I need the rules. People need to lay the freaking rules down for me. Too many. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, I guess that nobody will be perfect in the human interaction. Sometimes you do things and it's misinterpreted. When sometimes you have good intentions and it's not received well. But I guess the thing is people being able to be accountable for and own their communication, right? So say if you did say something that offended her or whatever, she should have told you
Right.
in
But
a in
that's
a in in a in a in a in a polite way.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
that's
you
not
don't have
a
to.
role. Come on now.
Mhm.
There's no confrontation accountability kind of system set up. In fact, probably what's going to happen now is they're going to be all talking shit about me behind my back, like that bitch was
well,
that skinny herself, and she's over there talking about, oh my god, you lost weight.
well, Bruce sent me something. It was about a dude. It was a melanated guy, professor. I forget his name, Professor
Uh-huh.
something. And he was getting interviewed by this dude named Carson Tucker, who was trying to be provocative. And the guy handled it very well because, first of all, he didn't get rocked emotionally, and
Mm,
he was just matter of fact about what he said. So he was very calm. He was very he was very selective about the word choices he used, but he was also direct and like put the guy in his place,
hmm.
right? And a non like I was saying, not it was the conversation itself was confrontational.
Hmm.
And this guy, he being a black American, he's representing the perspective of that side.
Hmm.
But he did it in a way that, just was so just made so much sense, and it was so dignified, it was so respectful, whatever, that the dude, in the end, it was clear, like, he just completely level set that. And I was thinking that once again, because between two individuals that are distinctly different, even if they do have similarities, the key thing is communication. And then
Yeah.
that communication, sometimes verbal, sometimes nonverbal. Like you said, when somebody is, you can see in their reactions, body language, face, whatever, affect, all this, that they didn't receive that well, or whatever. Like, they communicating to you in that way too. But
Yeah.
but I think, like, you gotta you gotta be able to be a real effective communicator,
Yeah.
because I think that's the one big property of fostering and building real relationships. And I can't profess that I'm good at that. But one thing I don't do is make things worse. You know what I mean? Like, because I think, like, but I feel like when you inside of a situation, and let's just say you aggravated and frustrated. Now, now this thing I'm gonna say, that I feel like we all do everything. Like you said, the human spirit, ultimately we all got, the same kind of issues, right?
Right.
So yeah, somebody push my buttons, I could say ugly things and all that stuff. But I think, like, if you value a relationship with somebody, you shouldn't be, pulling out, first of all, like, name calling and stuff like that. You shouldn't do that kind of thing. Cause, like, I could be angry, like we said before, and label the emotion without, becoming that emotion and turning it on you.
Right.
Because I feel like if I turn it on you, like, that whole thing it destroys everything. Then I
But
I
when
know
did you get there? When did you get there? Like, because
when.
there's this profound, this is how I experience you.
Mhm.
And I wanted to tell you that I have experienced you like this all your life. Even as a kid, you would say little things like, well, if you do it this way, this is how it should be. But when did you like know like that, you know, that that this was what you need to do as a matter of exercise to make good relationships? Because what I think happens is,
Mhm.
like, me and you, when you and I talk, we have different emotional touch points, but because I care about you, like, I want to be engaged in the conversation. I don't say that I care about everybody I'm around. So it's easier for me to do exactly what you said, like label the feeling, manage the emotion, when I'm around people I care about. you know but let's just say, like, the stranger, like that lost weight, or even better, has their heinies out. Because, I was in Miami recently, and I saw nothing but butts. Like, it was a real, like, visual, like, and it's not like I'm looking at them, okay? Like it's not like I'm finding they were just walking
Mm.
around
Just
butts all
can't
out.
miss it, huh?
You
You
can't miss it,
understand how it
right?
is real life
They
with a
but
man, huh? You can't miss it just jumping out at you. I'm playing with
something like bit my
you. Yeah,
eyes, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then something happened in those interactions where there were actual butts that would then say to people who would maybe comment across the street about the butt, don't be looking at my ass. And I'm like, but we can't not look at it. It's like what you have put out here. So like it's like very confusing to me. Like how this like so that's why I'm saying give me the rules. I just want the rules. If I can't talk to the butt that's in my face that you have decided that you woke up, made the decision to put that dress on or not on or whatever it is that you have on. And then when someone talks about the butt, you say something like, why are you talking about my butt? Or if you lose 150 pounds and you, is it reasonable to assume that I'm not going to say you lost 150 pounds? Like, I'm like, what are the rules? Tell me the rules and I will follow them.
But see, that one, like I said, is a difficult one because that was your realistic reaction, and it wasn't meant to cause harm. So
No.
if it wasn't, then you straighten it. But I guess the way you learn it is through direct observation and experience. Like I've seen how not being able to communicate can be catastrophic. Things can blow up, and then certain things once they do blow up, they can't be repaired. So
Like
if
what?
they
What cannot be repaired, you
like
think?
for example, right? Like I think like if just speaking it from the world of the masculine world in that gender,
Mm-hmm.
if two males who don't know each other have a conflict, like that turns physical, and most of the time that happens when uh you know they both feel like they ain't getting hurt, they ain't putting their point across. That's
Right.
the easiest way for a conflict to brew. And if that hurt, if that occurs, the two men, if they don't know each other,
Mm-hmm.
it's a possibility after that conflict that they might be able to build a bond. But
Okay.
if the two men know each other, you know what I'm saying? I don't care if it's like brother and brother, father and son, and whatever. But if we already got a relationship that's supposed to have like love and compassion in it, if we get in a physical altercation, the relationship is over with the way it
Mm,
was before. So my whole thing is if we don't intend to blow the relationship up, then we got to find ways to where we can actually communicate in a way that's effective. I see that with couples too. I've in my own direct experience, and then like in observing other couples as well. I see people when they get frustrated. So let's just say somebody is interested in you, and
mhm.
they building a relationship with you, let's say, and they want to be with you in a certain kind of a way, but you do something that disappoints them or they get frustrated or something like this, and now the way they react and handle that is mean and nasty and cruel.
Okay.
Then after they do this, then they want to be like, but I love you, I want you to be with me and stuff, and you're like, no, no, like you done called me names and
Right.
did all this, and then they say, well, that was just because I was angry. And I'm
Right.
like, that doesn't make it acceptable,
Right.
because
So the
now when
rules, so I'm hearing some rules come out though, brother. Like
yeah,
you,
yeah.
I feel like there's some rules. So what you're saying is, if the relationship is valuable,
Hmm.
then there are some things that are off limits, like name
100%.
calling, devaluing them, and not them blaming it on the emotion.
Right,
Is what
right, right. Yeah, because like let's just say individual always has rights for certain things, right? So for instance, at any given time, a person could change their mind. You know what I
okay.
mean? So you could say, all right, I wanted to be in this relationship, but today I don't feel like being in this relationship, right? Now, if you decide that, and the other party, can do one or two things. They can resist it or they can accept it, right?
Okay.
So ultimately, though, they got to accept it because they ain't got no control over you at the end state,
All right.
like if
That's
you
the
really
win.
definitively part of it. Now, on the other side, though, if you decide that you don't want to be with that person and and they accepted it, you can't really be flip flopping and coming back and say, okay, well, I changed my mind again. I'm back again. You know,
Yeah,
that's a seesaw teeter totter roller coaster thing.
I
But I
got, but
do think
I would say there has to be some rules even to the choice, because I
right,
would
right,
say, like, okay, if you, let's just take that scenario, you are
right.
entertaining somebody, especially you who are trying to get new clothes in your closet. So you're entertaining a scenario, somebody you're kind of, I don't know, what do you call it now, dating or talking to, whatever. Then
Hmm.
you wake up and say, this person's not for me. I
Hmm.
would argue that a good communicator wouldn't send that message at 6 o'clock.
well, well, well. My thing is, I guess you could. I guess it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be the most ideal to do that. You know what I
Not when
mean?
they
But
wake
what?
up.
But
And
what
it
if? What
shouldn't
if
be
it
through
is?
text. I would say, well, can we agree? Because I'm trying to set up rules. So you
Well,
can't, you
okay.
can't.
I would say that in the past I wouldn't know what time of day would be the best to do it, but I guess yeah, maybe it could be not that wouldn't be the best thing to do that early. But
I would, no, let's get the rules. Let's process through why a breakup at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning is the wrong thing to do.
but what if it ain't like a real breakup, right? Like what if like let's just imagine for a moment that you in a deep long-term relationship with somebody, right? But y'all both come to, a point, you know how like sometimes you just know like, okay, this kind of like where this that's fizzled off at. And y'all both, but y'all still want to be connected. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, we
I,
still
I don't
family or
I
whatever.
don't know this. I don't know this
Oh no, no,
scenario.
what I'm trying to say is like let's just say I actually learned this concept from you where you were like, well, even if this had to end, I still want to be family, you know? So most people ain't like that. And most people are like, I'm gonna just burn this bridge up and nuke the thing and don't even think about what the outcomes will be. You know what I'm
But
saying?
that person is so important to me
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
in the sense that, like, so I have some relationships, like I think about, like, um you know, my oldest friendship in college, Lisa.
Hmm.
I think forever we will be friends, because she was like one of my first friends in college, and also my girlfriend Keisha. They were like my first two friends in college.
Hmm.
The the intensity, though, of both of those relationships change and shift over time for various
100%.
reasons. Like,
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
like, we're at different places. One of them moved to New York. One of them, is now starting her own life over. So I already anticipate we're going to be at various levels of intensity, but I forever want them to be my family. Even if, so, like, even when
That's a
maybe
rule. That's a
that's the
rule.
rule.
So
That's
like,
the rule.
so like at the end of the day, like the commitment is to have a permanent connection, one way, shape, or form, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So I
that's so that.
value them. So I don't, like, if I, so I wouldn't give them a 7 o'clock, like,
well,
I don't
well,
want to talk to you no more
well, see
message.
that, but I would just say like, I agree with you. But if like, but I'm just saying if a person changes their mind where they're like, yo, I think the intensity of this, of what we diving into is too much. Like I'm trying to get out this pool a little bit, but it ain't like I'm trying to get out your life. I'm trying to get out the pool. But
So
the
what's the
person they trying
rule?
to, but
How do you do that?
that's a hard thing because I think like if a person got an expectation, you know, I was again talking this over with a bunch of brothers, right? And
Lord.
the group chat of men, right? The men group chat. And the men was saying this that like I told you before, like this whole generation has got their game from women now, right? And they're like, women's rules of engagement are totally different than men though, right? So like for instance, if it's bad form for a man to ghost a woman, so like if a dude just decide it was okay, everything was cool, but I'm done with her, so I'm not calling her no more, I'm not texting her no more, all that. A woman can't handle that. But a
How do
woman
you
does that
know
to a man because just hit the
what
group
happened?
chat.
So
Hit
what's
the
the
group
consequence?
hit the group chat and the dudes tell you. But
What,
the dudes are saying in reverse though, women are doing them like this. You
oh,
know what I'm
like
saying?
ghosting
So
them.
like, yeah, so like they're saying like, well, us guys need to be more like women. Meaning like we need to not care about what the woman feels like and what happens to her after the fact and be gentle when they're let down and what time of day you call them and stuff because they don't care about that with you and all this stuff. But we're
Well,
not
are
like
there
that,
any universal truths? I would say
Mhm,
this: when I was
mhm.
dating, and remember this is many years, there were certain
Right, right.
things that, and honestly, my grandmother told me this. So this must be old school universal. If
Mhm.
someone's calling you at like always calling you at night, that's a booty call, right? If they don't, I mean, this is grandma's wisdom, right? And then there was also like, if they're not kissing you in the mouth and stuff like that, there's something wrong with them. Like they either got some other woman or they don't want
Well,
to
I
be.
don't care. I don't think so. I think like I don't. You know why dudes don't kiss in the mouth? Because they don't know where a women's mouth has been. And these women, these indiscriminate women these days, mouths have been in inappropriate places just 5 minutes ago, and kind of bring it to you. So I say this to say to you that that definitely when it comes down to it though, this conflict shows you what a person feels about you, right?
Yes.
Because a person who does respect you, no matter what, like I just imagine this, right? I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give you the same scenario, but just two different responses, right?
Okay.
So let's just say, let's take it like the man's the bad guy in this situation, right? And he's dealing with a girl and he ain't sure about her for whatever the reason. And he tells her like, you know what, I don't want to mislead you. I don't want to lead you on and all this stuff. So I just want to let you know, like, I ain't trying to do this. And the girl says, you asshole, you jerk, you punk ass, the way you did this thing, and why is this? And then and then what was this all for? And basically this shit was a waste of time and this and that, right? And then later on, it's like, well, can we talk about it? You know what I mean? Like you made this decision, we had to talk about it, all this stuff, and wants to backtrack some of the shit that they said. Now,
Right.
let's take another type of person in that same exact scenario. The man says the same thing to her, whatever, and her reaction to that is, well, I'm disappointed to hear this, but I really do care about you,
Hmm.
and no matter what happens, I want to be a part. I want you to be a part of my life, and I want to be a part of your life because I think you're an incredible person and you're an amazing person. And if this means that we're not together in this type of way, I totally understand that. That's received differently, than the
It is.
other
I
thing
could
because
argue. I
yeah.
think that I think I like the I love that contrast, but I would
Mhm.
argue that if any woman that you were both considering each other acted like that, then you would really have enough evidence to say they weren't digging you that much either. I think the
100%.
people that act like all insane, it's because there was a real cosmic attraction, and that sometimes like love in that sense or attraction in that sense isn't logical. And I think one of the things that I hear from you in your conversations is like a part of being in relationships, even like the way you communicate, is this logical flow. And I would argue that emotions aren't logical. Like I can just feel mad sometimes and not necessarily have had anything mad. It could have been like from a back in the day mine, it could have been about anything else, but I might present mad. And then you might be asking, what did I do to her? And the reality is you didn't actually do anything to me in the moment. But
But
you might,
do you
huh?
think that emotions are intelligent though?
No, I
Like
think
they're not,
emotions are
they're
smart.
no,
I think
no.
they're
But I
dumb.
think emotions are a form of intelligence because like emotions are like a gauge. They're like an instrument thing, a panel or something, right? Like say so like let's just say, right, in
They're
the
not logical.
in that contrast I gave you, both persons are disappointed.
Yes.
Or one person realizes that both of them really do like the person and don't want this outcome to happen, right? But they both have to accept that this outcome is going to happen, and the way that they're dealing with it is two different ways.
But
But the
that's the
what
logical part. That's the logical. What I'm
but the
saying is
latter
emotions are not that way.
but the latter person keeps the door open for something, and the other one burns it.
See,
Be
but
the
see,
the
that's
former burns it because, like,
I
you don't
think
see
that's
how, like,
men.
a person could a
I
person could
think
look at. Men do that too. Like
I
I ain't
think
gonna
men,
say
you always want to be able to have a door open. See, there we've entered
no,
another
no,
discussion.
no. but
You
but
know,
see,
y'all want these doors possibly open. So you always want, you're like, you know what? Monsters Inc. had all these doors. Remember, they
right,
wouldn't
right,
shut
right.
the doors.
You say men
Men
want
are,
doors open.
yeah, so men always want a door open. They're like, okay, I'm gonna close this door, but let me keep it open a little crack so I can run in that crack in case
Why
door,
and
the
why and
real
why
door
is
that I want.
why is that? Because that let's just grant you the assumption for a minute that that is true. Why would that be important?
Because men are greedy.
No. You know why it's important? Because door for the most part, all doors are closed to men, right? Let's say when the game today when the sun came up and the game started, every single door was closed. So now when a man, it's just like that book, Who Moved the Cheese or whatever. Now when a man sees, okay, this one door is open, so it's only like a few doors open. Yeah, you're gonna be like, well, let me keep it open a crack because
Okay, so let me ask
there's
you
not
this.
no other doors
Wouldn't it
open out
from
here.
the law of okay, so
Mhm.
from, as we are thinking, because we're both business owners,
Right.
since you got so many doors open, you can't fully invest in one door. And I know from a scaling perspective, putting your all into one door is much better than dipping and dabbing into multiple
Absolutely.
doors.
I mean, I find no fault in that logical reasoning. But I was just saying but even though, like I say, even though you feel the emotion, it doesn't give you the right to even if you did react on like you this whole thing of right is is all of what you decide for yourself, right? But
Right.
you have to know that it has a consequence that's outside of your control once it's done. So
Okay.
like the so so
Okay. I'm going to
yeah.
go with that. What is
Mhm,
then in your whole life,
mhm.
what would you be the biggest consequence do you think that would make it so that you would shut all doors? Because right now,
Completely or like all doors or like or
I think
well
we
look like right now I don't like right now I feel like this like when a dude is keeping a door open like in the sense of what I'm describing it's only in appreciating the human being the person not like trying to exploit the door, you know what I mean? It's like like I find it crazy that you spend 25, 30 years with a person and then you decide, well, I don't want to be with them no more because we grew apart and all this stuff. And then that person and you are no longer at all in part of each other's life. Like that's kind of weird to me.
I
You know what
don't
I
think
mean?
that ever happens though in real practical sense. I think that when you
It
spend,
happens.
well,
Sometimes it
I don't
happens.
think they're never in each other's lives. I think you can split
Or
up.
they hate each other. Or they got bad
But,
feelings
but
towards each
think
other.
about what hate looks like. That's because
Mhm.
someone has done so many egregious things to you over time where that person can no longer look like the loving. Because I, when I looked at people through loving eyes, they look very different than when I no longer care about them. And that could be even friendships. Like there are friends that
100%.
I have, for whatever reason, because usually they've done something to me that I disliked. When I see them again, the feeling may not necessarily be hate or anything else, but then I don't see their beauty.
I'm
Like
with you. I'm with you.
I
You
don't
don't
see
you don't
their
have a desire
beauty.
to be connected with them, which is the
Right,
beauty that you might see. But I would say that like every intrinsic life, every life has intrinsic value in it. Every life is precious, right? So in a
right.
way, like if so put it this way, we all gonna disappoint each other when we're in each other's life to a certain extent. We do things that each other doesn't like and we disappoint each other. But we just give each other grace when you actually care for one another. But also there's rules in it. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Grace
yeah,
ain't gonna be grace ain't gonna be given to you if you don't have politeness in the way that we conflict. You know what I'm saying? Like let's just say if a person gonna call you names and they're gonna do this stuff, that ain't right. If you want that person to really be a part of your life, you don't care, you're gonna blow it up.
but how do you
That's
know what
different.
is impolite? That's what I'm saying. Like, is it
Yeah.
impolite to say, like,
It's
how was it?
always impolite to call somebody a name that's derogatory. It's always impolite. Like right now, if you could be like, "You jerk," "You asshole," "You stupid," whatever. Like that's
That's
always
impolite
impolite. Even our grandmother didn't like it if we spoke like that. She was a very properly,
speaking for. So it's
speaking
impolite.
purpose.
So
So
even
so to be
even
like,
in
"You're
Twitter,
stupid," or "Oh, just shut up, you're dumb," or whatever. when kids talk like that to each other, like most parents don't want them to be saying "shut up" and "stupid"
Yeah.
and stuff like, because those are inflammatory words, and
Okay, fine.
they can.
That's
So you
cool.
shouldn't be doing that with people you cool with, because like
Okay,
right
I
now,
like that.
yeah,
Rule
you
number
know.
1,
Hmm.
be polite. Rule number
Hmm.
2, what's next?
Yeah. So then the next thing is inside of you have to be have self control. So inside of you being upset, you can describe it. I'm upset in this way. And honestly, I feel like when you do that, you kind of like own shit, because like you said with the emotions, right?
Mhm,
Sometimes you feel an emotion and you're not totally clear why that you're feeling this way, right?
mhm.
But if you can articulate it, you get it clear, right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, like okay, this is the problem in this. And what that does ultimately is it gets the other person understanding
Yes.
why it
You know,
is that
I
it's an
think
issue for
something's
you, you know what I
happened.
mean?
There's a you know
Mhm,
what, brother?
mhm,
In my day job, when I
mhm,
was seeing a whole bunch of clients, I
mhm,
went through this all the time. So
mhm.
did you have therapy recently?
Nah, I ain't never had no therapy. I ain't never
because
had no therapy.
because you understand that connecting your feeling through words and describing what you feel also is a way of being connected with. Okay, so I like that. But because I was going to drag a couch in your office.
Well, I ain't no I haven't had it, but I'm a big advocate of like mental health and all this stuff, because in a person's life, they're gonna be going through shit.
Well, and
And
I
I
think
think like they definitely need a person need mental health. And if
I think from like an observational perspective, I would love to see you outside of therapy, like
mhm,
after you have gone through it, just because there is some kind of like intimacy thing
mhm,
that I think
mhm,
is around in your sphere that I
mhm,
don't know what to call it. But I
mhm,
also know that you do love very deeply. And
mhm.
so that's kind of, it's interesting that you feel like there's an intimacy issue, but then you love very deeply. And the people I think that you're around benefit from that love, right?
Mhm,
They
mhm,
certainly benefit from that experience. And
mhm.
I will say this, you are a person of integrity, which is why I always say, tell me the rules, because
Right, right, right.
people who are and who operate on an integrity have they have things that they will violate. Poor little Omar in The Wire, he was a thug, but damn, he had so much integrity, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's what people loved about his
That's
character,
what I
right?
love about
Yeah,
it. And that
yeah,
ultimately got him killed,
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
end,
yeah.
because his integrity didn't see the threat. The
Right,
kid
that's
didn't
right, that's
feel
right.
like a threat, but
Mhm.
that kid should have felt like a threat. So, and I connect that to you sometimes, because I'm like, there's certainly this way that you operate in the world, but it's really good. So you would think the manifestation of that would be your closet wouldn't be empty,
But see
you
that,
know.
but my closet being empty ain't it's not a symbol of a defect. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think like I told you I left you an audio. It's not like a thing of, because people have this misconception of, well, if you single and you ain't really got somebody or whatever, that you're missing something or something's wrong with you or whatever. Also, like, if you have somebody, it's a great blessing. Like, nobody should be attacking that neither. You know what I
Right,
mean? But
right.
I just say that for me, it's more better to if the because a lot of people are together and it's not really sincere. Like they don't even like
Yes.
each other for real,
Yeah,
for real.
yeah.
And their relationship ain't really nothing.
Right,
But they
right.
but they physically around each other, and they got the surface level look of being like, together. I.e. Trump and Melania, let's
Well,
say, right?
she's
But
highly dedicated.
well, who? Melania?
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about, but I just know that
Did you
they don't
wait,
look they don't look like they don't look like, just on the outside looking in, whatever shit you could read from it. They don't really look like no loving couple. And they don't look and he don't walk around saying a lot about her all the time, and she don't say a whole lot about him all the time. So they not checking for each other as a couple, whatever. I'm
right.
just saying
Well, her
I'd
medicine is
rather,
working. Maybe she's missing stuff because
maybe she is, but I would
the
say
deer
I'd rather.
eggs in the rose garden.
What up, man? But I was saying I would rather be just how I am now than to be locked in with somebody that that really don't really mess with me for real, and all that stuff. Like I'm at peace with myself, and I love myself and all that. And
But
I would love
okay,
to, I
let
would,
me
and like you said, I'm not absent of like love in my life from people. So in terms of having love and all that, I got it. But
but
it,
let me say
but
this. Let me
yeah,
say this.
go ahead.
This is
Hmm.
that intimacy creep that I'm talking about
Hmm.
because you it's masterful how you do it too.
Hmm.
And it's almost like a deflection where what I'm talking about for you is I get all of those things. There's a fullness to your life. I've
100.
now been married for like, I don't know exactly, but let's just say I know I've been in a relationship with him for 25 years.
Right,
It's
right, right,
like
right.
I don't know the exact number in terms of marriage, but we've been in a relationship for 25 years. So
Okay.
it is it's a different experience when you find a partner who is also a friend and who fulfills
Hmm.
you in that way.
Hmm. Hmm.
And while I have all these other meaningful relationships, like I have good friends, I have good mentors. I mean, I went to this conference and saw people who I've like deeply respected, haven't seen in a very long time. There is nothing that I have to date that's more fulfilling to me than the relationship that I have with him and my children. Like
I hear you on that.
our family is like, it's so enriching, even when we're at war. Like, me, it
Right,
ain't
right,
like
right.
I'm not trying to say that we're perfect. And me and my husband, and we done thrown plates. Like we did, like we've been together through 20, 30, 40s, like I'm not a perfect person and neither is he.
Hmm.
But what I want for you, we had this conversation one time where you were like, I don't know what it's like to be like madly in love with someone.
Hmm.
That is like that I just want you to experience that like one day. Like
Well,
where like
but I feel you on that, and I love the fact that you want that for me, and I thank you for that, right? But I'm gonna tell you, like, if I don't get that, it's cool because I feel like this that you know, it's like this. It's like somebody who doesn't have something, like a thing, like they can't hear or they can't talk or they can't see or whatever. It doesn't mean that, like, yeah, it would be much more fulfilling for them if they had that sense. You know what I'm saying? But
right,
don't mean that they can't live a very rich, fulfilled life.
right.
And I
I
think
would
like
agree with
in certain other things happen, like dimensional things that you get. But I guess for me, it's this path of enlightenment that I really love, where I can see the intricacies of intimate relationship, but
that.
definitely the breakdown, right? Because I can
Yeah,
see how, like, uh, like I said, if somebody is really trying to connect with you, but they do this shit, like, they're you just realize, like, well, that person kind of cruel, or they're they really can't really fuck with me, because if they are able to call me a name, even if they're upset, like that means that's coming from somewhere inside of their dimensions. You know what I mean?
well,
Now you really do see me as a
or it's social learning. Now,
yeah,
because see,
yeah.
logically, you're saying that, and that's how your brain operates. I will
Hmm.
argue that in the beginning of my relationship, I argued like Uncle James and Grandma.
Right,
Okay. And so that was
right,
just what I saw. We had to develop a, which was a terrible way to argue, right? Like
yeah, it is. It's
we
really bad.
chuckle. It was really, really bad.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
was the only way. And I almost feel sorry for all the other relationships I went through because that was the model of like
Hmm.
relationships. So she
Hmm.
was a dominant person,
Hmm.
he was
Hmm.
not. So like it was like that was really bad.
Hmm.
I'm not that way now. I can label
Hmm.
feelings. I still can be like, inside of feelings, you just want to project the feeling off of you, right? That is what it is. Like, so that's why anger is such a beautiful secondary emotion because it pushes people away. So inside those kind of strong emotional reactions, we get to anger and then we don't care. But I will say, like, that's why the conversation about rules are so important because
100%.
if I knew my partner is sensitive to words, like now I know, like I'm never gonna call you stupid again. I'm sure I probably called you stupid when you were young, or you a booty face or something. I'm never gonna do it again because boy, you heard that and that was like she meant that I'm a booty face, and that's not true. You know what I mean? Like I could have meant that in the moment that you were stupid, and you're being stupid to me because y'all locked me up in a closet. Like, I was saying a whole bunch of hostile stuff.
But we don't do that with our children either, right? So like right now, like we said, you know, again, it's like you know, you always be thinking like the men are the more rough behind the edge, you know, rough around the edges, gender, right?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and for the most part, we are emotionally for sure. But certain times, like you know, men know things to do and what not to do, like you know, just naturally, like you know, it could be sometimes I feel very strongly about my own children,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to breathe that into existence out of words out of my mouth that they will hear or get back to them,
But
because
people
I
do
know I
it.
can't take that back, and I know that that would you know
I
that
just
would
want you to
you know
know, though,
yeah,
people do it. Like,
yeah, and
I
that's an
let me tell you,
error.
it is an
So
error. I'm gonna tell you this.
mhm,
Jalen, you know my son, who I love,
mhm,
and you know I've always loved him.
mhm.
He, when he was transitioning to college, I said this, and this is his psychologist mother. Okay, he was
Mhm,
getting on my
mhm.
nerves. It was leading up to the end. I needed him to get a certain SAT. I needed, he needed to
Right,
get to
right.
college, and I said to him, "Don't make me." What did I said, "Don't make me not miss you." Something like don't make your transition speed up because I want to miss you or something like that. And he heard that like my mom don't want me here, right?
I hear you
But
on that.
but he
I hear
was
you on
so
that.
annoying. At the time, like he wasn't taking things seriously. He was doing all this like rebellion. And so I said like something really hostile and hurtful. Now, what I did later was come back and say that was wrong. I shouldn't have said it. I was feeling like this, and this is what the reaction. And I could, because I saw his eyes after I said it, and he was like, "Damn, you must hate me, mom." And I'm like, "No, I hate all the things that you're doing. Like you're not
I know
taking
what you
school
mean.
serious. You like, you want to
Yeah.
be skipping school. You want to be doing all this stuff, and like I need you to go and be successful with your life." But I said it. I wasn't a perfect mom. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect human. And let me
Mhm,
say, I think the way I live is I discharge all of my frustration through my mouth. I don't hold
mhm,
on to it. I
mhm.
think you don't discharge it. So boy, you got a Rolodex in your heart of every time I called you a booty face. And every time somebody, and then when it's time to fight, you remember that, because it's not expelled. And then oh boy, do I remember the times that I called you a booty face and you did, not that that's a thing. I'm making that up, but
No,
you know
I
what I'm
understand. I know
saying?
you
Where then
exaggerating.
I have to be
Yeah.
confronted with, well, I thought that was in 1952. Like that was that in that moment. You
No,
still
but I don't be holding on to things like that. I think like that's why I say I try to practice everything that I see and observe and do. But it's kind of like this that yeah, you speak up on things when you see it. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
for instance, what I said, like I would tell a person when I feel and I think something. That's why like if I think it at 6 o'clock in the morning, I might tell you then. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
Lord. Okay.
you know what
So
6
what if
o'clock.
a woman wants to fill your closet? What if a woman that wants to decides that your relationship with work is
Mhm,
not the relationship they want with
mhm.
you? Because
But
I know
that's a real thing. Like, she if a woman wanted that, right? Uh, the truth is right now, if that was the reality, I don't see how I could change it at this moment, right?
why not.
I don't know. I just don't see how I could. But this is the beauty of realness and
Wait a
genuineness
minute,
and
don't move
yeah,
past it. Have you
yeah.
done your reflection and introspection?
Yeah, I have. But I just think this though, truthfully. Like a person could motivate you or inspire you to shift, right? So let's just say, for instance, if it's like this. I hate to make this analogy this way because I know your chat group gonna be feeling like I didn't compare the women to something another
Oh my
object.
God.
But
My
I'm
chat
a
group, let me look at it. Let me look at it.
but I'm gonna
They
tell you
hate
like
you. I can't even bring you around. I got some. My friend said, "Don't bring them over."
well let's just say this, right? Right now I don't have no pets, right?
Okay.
But I remember when I was going from the transition of not having pets to having a pet. And the very first like day or so, like a week or 2 weeks, mentally and emotionally, that was taxing to me. It was straining because it changed my life a great deal. You know what I mean? And I
Okay.
was resisting it because I was like, God damn, now I gotta wake up early, to like a few early. Now you gotta buy food, you gotta buy leashes, you gotta wash the dog, you gotta do all these things that wasn't happening before, right?
Okay.
And I felt the strain, right? But then, and then like you're not connected to the creature at the time, so you're just like,
Right.
fuck this creature, like this motherfucker need to eat, gotta walk this dude, whatever. Like you ain't feeling you no feeling it. But after a while, something happens. You know what I mean? You get settled, get used to it. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden you start feeling like I like this. You see something in it. Oh, I like this thing or that thing, whatever. And you make these adjustments. You know what I mean? So
So
I
in
could
the
see
analogy,
how,
is the woman the pet?
yeah, yeah. So I could see how, like, initially you'd be like, man, this woman came here, she left her shoes here. I don't want her leaving her shoes here. And or she did something, but or it could be totally different. It could just be that her presence and her energy or whatever just brings so much good in your life that
Yeah.
like that when she's gone, you're like, oh man, I miss her. Like just talking to her, just seeing her or whatever. And then like if she's like, man, I feel like the work is getting in between us or whatever, like that might be something that adjusts because you inspired or motivated, for something else. You feel me? That
Well,
could happen. That could
I hope
happen.
that
You know what I
happens.
mean?
But what that
Yeah.
requires is
Hmm.
a look inside why you haven't been. Because I cannot imagine the wonderful people that you've been around, and you've gone to places throughout the world that you haven't
Hmm.
found that level. But we are not going to fix you today. And it was so happy. I was so happy to hear that you was, you're ready to get on somebody's couch. Maybe I'm still gonna roll a couch in there because now everybody's doing like virtual couches. You can lay back
Right,
and,
right, right, right,
then
right.
you can do it. So I think I might still bring it, but I do have some, since we were practicing what was appropriate and what was not appropriate. I am going to ask you some questions about if you would ever say something about
All
a woman. All right. So,
right, okay,
no,
okay,
not about a woman. I'm sorry, about a person. So,
okay.
these are some habits and some rules I want to know about you. If you saw someone with toilet paper sticking out of their pants, would you stop them or would you let them walk through a crowd?
Nah, I let them know.
Why you would let them know?
Yeah, yeah, I let them know.
How would you do it?
I just tell them straight up. Hey, yo, you got you got some toilet paper hanging out. Might want to pull that off.
Okay.
Yeah, I let them know.
What about boogers in the nose?
Yeah, I let them know that too.
You let no way.
Yeah,
No
because
way.
that's nasty for me to see.
Okay.
And I
Boogers.
wouldn't even like that. I'd be like, man, you ain't go blow your nose. Something like, yeah, you got something going on. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff.
I don't
So
like
I would
seeing it.
tell them.
I can tell you in action, many people ignore it. What about crust around the mouth?
See, that stuff I don't like seeing either. So I would tell them too, like, yeah, man, you might need to wipe your. See, if I only have to be around them for a second, I might not tell them.
Okay.
But if you go be around me all day, you walking around with the crust and the snotty nose, you gonna have to fix that
Okay.
because I ain't
What
want to
about
see that all
halitosis?
day, huh?
What about halitosis?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We gonna that's another rule. If you're gonna be around me all day, you can't be like that. You're gonna have to tighten that up. No, I don't play games with that kind of stuff.
So, okay, do tell me from an
Hmm.
HR perspective how you manage that.
Well, first, first, I feel like the best way to be is candid and direct. That's how I feel like. Like, hey, I remember we had some people who uh they don't believe in deodorant.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was that was their culture.
Yeah. I got some.
Boy, they had like some righteous with the
So what did
kitchen.
you do? I
I
think
said,
that can
"Oh
get you
man."
as an employer, you can get in a whole bunch of trouble.
I said, "Well, we do you know how you do that? Code of conduct. The code of conduct. Code of
What's
conduct.
conduct
The
smell?
code of conduct in this building is we respect each other and we respect each other's senses. So even if it's your culture not to do this, you have to do this here because that's offensive. I walked
So,
in this kitchen, I smell nothing but baked onions in here or whatever. Make onions make your eyes water and cry. I can't work like that. Y'all gotta tighten that up. This ain't right. You know what I mean? Y'all know how to do it at home and all this stuff, but in here, yeah, that's the code of conduct. That's how I handle it.
you let me know how that goes because I think that's a tricky subject. And there are people who just from like a cultural perspective do not do it. And like even like when I was like our clinic, right? When we were in person, that was a big deal. Like now if it was like filth, like
Yeah,
they
it's crazy.
didn't wash, then that was like a self-care kind of conversation. But if it was like literally like things
Nah, yeah, we
like
ain't doing it.
okay, this is another one because this is
Your
off my
nephew,
list. But
your,
okay,
your
what
nephew is sensitive too.
what you say?
No, your nephew is super sensitive to smells. I remember he had his homeboy over here. He ain't like the way his homeboy smelled, and they were playing. He had a bottle of the air freshener. He kept, and I was like, "Hey, dog." Like that's kind of messed up, man.
That's messed up. So okay, final thing. So this is off the script because I already told you like I was but feet, smelly feet, because I was at this conference and I smelled someone's feet.
I
What do
don't
you
like
do?
that either.
I don't like it either.
My sense of smell is like my sons. We don't like all that. So
You might be,
I don't like
you might
walking
be
into
a
my
little
own house and then
neurodivergent.
my smell the house ain't smelling fresh. You know how like you walk into a house and it's like, damn, it's like the mustiness, the cloud like just hits you. I don't even like that. Like I'm like, nah, I can't do that. That
So from an HR perspective and like a human perspective, what would you have done in that situation?
I did just tell the people like, man, some like maybe I would have went and got the like a little foot powder or something, a little foot spray or something. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's see, we got to disinfect the shoe or the foot. You know how like you can spray the powder and that spray on the feet. Maybe I'd have did something like that and made it be a thing. Like we had.
I had 3 days of funk. One of my colleagues,
Oh no, I ain't for that.
their feet were rocking, and I was like, wow, like, and it wasn't. Sometimes they had like their foot out their pumps, and sometimes they didn't.
Goddamn.
But you could smell it through the pump, like it was
No
that.
good, yo.
No.
That's horrible, especially not for a woman. She needs some help on that. A woman should never be. Hey, sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what a woman should be. That right there. Oh my God.
I'm putting you on the couch. I think the expectation is every human being needs to be careful about how they smell, not just women.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
On that note, for you, women have a definitely different, like I am going to raise the banner. I love being in the Rose Garden with you every Thursday. You do make my life better. I am smarter today than I was yesterday. I will hopefully next week our guest can join. She got a new job, so she's got to figure out but she's going to be super dope when she comes. If not, just getting to hang out with us and you get to talk about what's on our mind. We'll see you next week, brother. Bye for now.